iced or frozen. However you like it, it's all coffee. Coffee is a very unique and complex drink that has a lot of factors that many people don't think about. Many go every morning to brew a pot in their kitchen or to their local drive-thru to enjoy a cup of joe, but many don't realize what goes into that cup of coffee. Myself, being a self-proclaimed connoisseur of coffee and barista, has had a lot of interactions with the drink over the years, and I've come to love it a lot. Coffee has a unique origin, there's many different varieties, and multiple ways to extract the drink. Coffee has a very unique history, dating back to the 15th century in Ethiopia. According to an article, The History of Coffee, written by the National Coffee Association, coffee was discovered by the goat herder Kaldi when he was herding his goats in the plateaus of Ethiopia. He noticed that his goats consumed the coffee beans and that they became very energetic and were filled with energy throughout the day. Kaldi then took the beans and took them back to his local village, where he gave them to the local priest, and they made them into a drink, and he claimed that it was able to help him have enough energy to pray throughout the night. Then, like many other natural resources and goods on our earth, coffee was spread. Like tobacco, spice, and gold, coffee was traded, sold, and bartered for throughout the world. According to an article titled Caffeinated History of Coffee, written by Tori Avery of PBS, coffee is the second highest valuable good traded in the world, second only to oil. The trade of coffee led to its cultivation in many other parts of the world. The origin of the coffee will have a significant impact on the flavor of it. According to coffeeresearch.org, there are two ideal regions for coffee to be grown in. The first one being subtropical. This includes countries like Brazil, Jamaica, and Zimbabwe. And then the other region being equatorial. This includes countries like Kenya, Colombia, and Ethiopia, and other countries close to the equator. This is why whenever you head to the grocery store to buy coffee, you will see that nearly all of it is from countries such as these. You can tell a lot about the origin of a coffee based on the taste of it. This is very useful when you're determining what type of coffee you will like and trying to develop your flavor palette. So, for instance, if you really like caramely candy and caramel flavor, then you probably like the caramely notes that come from a South American blend. Or if you really like a sweet berry taste or the taste of lemongrass, then you would really, really like a blend from Ethiopia, because those are a lot of the flavor notes that are in those. You can also track the origins of coffee based on the chemical makeup. According to a study by Christopher Brody in March 2019, he found that you can find the origin of a coffee bean based on the hydrogenous isotopic properties. Basically, in simple terms, it just means when you break down the molecules of a coffee, based on the hydrogenous molecules in there, you can determine where it's from based on how many are there, based on our other knowledge of coffee beans from those regions. So if you think about it, everyone has a fingerprint that's unique to them. And just like we have fingerprints, coffee beans have chemical bonds that are unique to the regions where they're grown in. Every coffee is unique, and so are the brewing methods for it. Different brewing methods mean that there's something to meet everyone's needs, no matter what you like. Say you're someone who really likes a bold and intense flavor, then the brewing method you're probably going to go for is espresso. This is because the flavor is very intense and in your face, and it's very concentrated and bitter. Maybe you really like to enjoy things in life, and you love all the flavors, and you like to just really sit down and enjoy a cup of coffee. For this, you're probably going to want to go with the pour-over brewing method. This allows for a longer extraction time, and it allows for less bitterness, and it's not so intense, and it allows for a full, flavorful cup of coffee. If you're someone who you don't really like the bitterness of coffee, and you want something a little sweeter and smooth, then you're probably going to go with the cold brew. Cold brew is brewed with no heat, and usually in the fridge or something like that for 24 hours. And so since there's no heat, there's no acidity, And since there's a longer extraction time, it also helps with the low acidity, and this makes it a sweeter taste. So usually people who don't like that signature coffee taste, they tend to like a cold brew a little bit more. Whether you drink Starbucks or Folgers instant coffee, you know that coffee is all very unique. Coffee is very complex, and there's many factors that many people overlook when they're thinking about that perfect cup. So next time you're sipping on a cup of coffee, try to sit back and enjoy those natural notes of flavor and appreciate the long journey that those beans have been on.